Well, it's certainly a tale of two halves,
Absolutely, yeah.
and obviously the better half for us this week.
Yeah, no, I was really, I thought the game was a game of moments, and there were certain moments within that game where I thought the team did an exceptional job of just composing themselves, executing plays on the defensive end, or executing our scout and our game plan on the defensive end, and then backing that up with great scores and great shots on the offensive end. Certainly half time, I mean, that third quarter was exceptional. I think we had points per possession, scored about 1.38, which is, through the roof from a scoring perspective. But even to hold a team to 20 points in the second half was an exceptional defensive effort by this team. So really proud of them, and the best part for me was we did it by committee. We had a number of different people that stepped up and made big plays at both ends of the court at different times.
I thought late in the third quarter, the defensive effort was shown. I think Alicia put in a block, and I think also Cracker. Did that sort of, for you, sum up how desperate the team was? That even though you had that lead, you were not going to let them get their way back into the game?
Yeah, I think like those kind of plays always, get you a bit hyped, and then I think we feed off that energy.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of knew then that we were, we had a good lead, and we kind of knew if we kept playing the way that we were playing that we could definitely win that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just builds energy.
Got Lightning next week. Obviously, confidence really lifts from this game. So off to Adelaide next week, another big challenge for you over there.
Yep, absolutely, and I think what this group has done a great job of time and time again. Although this being our first win, they've done a great job of going away from these games and getting the recovery and eating the right stuff and prepping themselves the following week. So to no fault of our own, we've done all the right things. The formula's been as good as it can be, just not rewarding ourselves. So to see the team finally reward themselves and get the desired result today, is really satisfying for me, not for me as coach, but more so just for them, because I know how much work this team's putting in.
Your free throw shooting tonight, that was exceptional, wasn't it? It was probably the one you talked about earlier in the week.
Yes.
That's the one thing that you players can have a lot more control over.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you and I spoke earlier in the week about the three areas we really needed to work at, and I thought obviously our foul shooting was great this weekend.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is it's not always a thing that you can lift.
Yeah.
In a matter of a week, a turnaround that can take time, but we certainly got to focus in on that this week. Foul discipline as well. I mean, although we sent the position to the team 21, they had 21 foul shot attempts for the game. I thought a lot of the fouls, not that we ever want them, but sometimes they were at the right time, just where we weren't going to allow them to have an easy, uncontested shot. And the other part was obviously tempo, and knowing that changing up our defences, of the aggressive switching, the zone, the press. I think those things gave us better control of the game at the other end and kept them guessing, because I think it's really hard as a team. But one thing I'll say about all guys' teams is they're an exceptionally organised, drilled units. Any of the teams that he coaches. So in order to be able to try and throw that out, that level of organisation, you've got to be able to jump defence up. So I thought the team did a great job of that today.
If you head on court, when you're down by 15, is there much talk going on out there when you're down by 15 within the group?
Yep.
Yeah, we're down by 15 in the
29
second
points
quarter.
I don't know, we never specifically say we're down by X amount. I know, I think it's just about sticking to the game plan. I think that's what it's been the past few weeks, and it probably hasn't come together for us, but I think we did a really good job of sticking to the game plan, and I mean, they're a good team, but I think we just kind of ground them down. And then I think they also got frustrated, and we built on that energy and that momentum.
For sure.
I think in a game where you hold Ron Nicholson to 4 and Tess Madging to 7 and Karen Torch to 14 is pretty damn good. And so I think the team really deserve a huge pat on the back for their defensive execution. And it's a good question to ask about, because it can be really easy when you're down by a margin. And I know because I've coached a few games where I've been down, not just the 100 I've coached in the league, but just being really process driven about here's our game plan. Whether we require more ball pressure, we need to be cleaner on the switch, or we need to be at the point of a screen and the pick and roll coverage,
Yeah.
we generally put focus more on that. And then if margin does become an issue, you have to start breaking the game down into little mini games and trying to pull the game back piece by piece. But I mean, you know, that wasn't necessarily a focus. The focus for us was just purely on our game plan.
I suppose the thing is, if you're down by 10, you're not going to make up 10 points in a minute, are you? It might take 10 minutes to make up 10 points, but
Yeah.
you were able to do it third quarter the way the game just flipped.
Yeah. Well, again, I think both Ruth and Alicia did a great and exceptional job of giving us targets in the paint, and then our guards. It's a funny thing. Once we get going from the paint, we generally get going from the perimeter, and it's actually been a telltale sign of training this week as well with a lot of our offensive execution. So I think that for us, whether that's dribble penetration, us getting on the rim, in front of the post on the end of rolls or post targets, we're generally better when we start that way than become perimeter focused.
I thought that the end of the second quarter was actually very good. I don't think it showed so much on the scoreboard, but you changed the momentum at the end of the second quarter and then took it over totally in the third quarter.
Yeah, and I definitely think that probably that last 2 minutes of the second quarter really sort of launched us into this is the way into that third. So I thought, again, credit to the team, because I think sometimes that break probably came at the right time for Sydney. You know, and it's difficult because you're using, as a coach, you're using timeouts to try and break momentum, but when you've got leads, you've got that luxury of being able to use timeouts to coordinate your next play and stay 2-3 steps ahead of the opposition. So again, the team probably made my job and the coaching staff's job not easy, but easier, just knowing that we went into the fourth quarter 3 timeouts because of the momentum and their execution.
And you would have been a lot happier with the way that you finished the game off down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, and it's always nice to be able to throw some player. We've got to throw Micah Simpson out today. He's been training exceptionally well for the last 4 weeks, and you know, although it was for 35 seconds or 48 seconds, you know, just under a minute, it was enough time for her teammates to recognise that, you know, he's a development player that puts in her all the time, does all the opt-ins, does all the extra stuff, and for Alex to find her on the end of a pass wide open, she makes that shot was pretty. That, you know, there was a lot of great moments in the game that I certainly will remember that particular play, and just how the team were up and about for her. And I think that's great when you've got pretty much almost your whole entire starting five celebrating, you know, one player's made basket at the end of the game.
Thank you.
Thank you.